It's 4 o'clock on a Monday and I'm barely conscious, but you know what I'm here to do? Another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live! Woo, baby! This week starring special guest stars, Mr. Marcus Cohen and Sherry Marcus Milano. And that's about the longest sentence I can say today because I'm brain dead from the road rally. Yay! Okay, see you next week. Welcome to the show. Hello.
Thank you, Michael.
Good to see you again for the 20th time in 48 hours. Ooh, that scared me. I just saw a screen glitch. It's like, no, what's going on? The road rally is over. We're back, but we meaning me, are brain dead. So anything could happen on today's show. It's going to be an exciting episode. But I'm really happy to have these guys here because a year ago, I met them at the road rally. It was a year ago,
yes.
Right? For the first time. And they said, just watch us. We're going to, grab this bull by the horns, and they have. And about, a week or so ago, I got an email or saw a post online said, we have now officially signed over, I think it's 305 pieces of music in a single year. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. Oh yeah, that sound you hear is the CPU working overly hard.
But it's worth it.
Every processor going. Paulie.
Not that loud yet. Okay, anyway.
Hi, Linda.
So, yeah, we should whip out Miss Francis's magic mirror and say hello to everybody. So, how'd you like the road rally this year? You don't have to be complimentary because you're sitting here in my office on my show.
Dude, we don't have to be complimentary, but we choose to be complimentary because we like to call it the Super Bowl for us, for musicians, artists, composers, songwriters, producers. That's our Super Bowl. This is what we work all year for, and we put in a year this year, and this Super Bowl was you stepped the bar up. You guys, the staff. I mean, just smooth sailing the whole way. No,
not as smooth as you might think. Actually,
well, you guys don't show it.
Right, I was on the phone with Angel about 45 minutes before you got here, and she was going down the short list of things that went wrong behind the scenes. I was like, really? I had no idea. I was in the ballroom going, yay, everything's going great.
Well, no one
clue.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. The energy everywhere. I mean, what you put together, that intro, I know you like to call it your eulogy, but I mean, I think any member at any given time in their taxi career would be able to go up and give that speech about you, Michael, because the selflessness, and I know when I talked to you, you said, well, it's not selflessness, but it is. I know you have to eat and you have a family, but what you do for us is so completely selfless, and we just owe you everything. I mean, I was ready to go out canvassing Michael Laskow for president. I mean, like 2 weeks into my membership.
I would not want that job.
2 weeks into my membership, I knew, this was the real deal. And not just from the reputation that I had, known from friends and collaborators before that, but just getting into the membership, doing all the stuff you say, the taxi TV, the forums, and then the rally last year just was magic for us, changed our lives completely.
It's amazing to me how many people, and I get it, like, there's a guy that owns a company and he's telling me stuff, and so because he owns a company, he's probably corporate and evil, and I shouldn't listen to him. And detached
from where we are.
And until you get to know me and get to know the staff and see us doing our thing at the rally, you don't understand that. I mean, yeah, we all like a paycheck as much as anybody does, but I don't know if it's so altruistic as we just take our job seriously, and that's all it takes. There's a lot of people out there in the world that don't take their jobs all that seriously, but I've got to thank a gentleman named Mac Emmerman, who is now deceased, but he was the first guy in the industry to give me a job, and he taught me he was the owner and founder of Criteria Studios in Miami. He taught me what it is to be a professional, and so I've been able to pass that along to everybody, and that's what you see at the rally. Team of professionals.
You're caring about the musicians being able to get from point A to point B, which is why it's so cool that it's called Taxi.
That's exactly why I named it Taxi.
You're a vehicle. Is it really?
Yeah, that's exactly why. I literally said point A. I woke my wife up at 6 a.m. and said, I've got it, I'm going to call it Taxi because you get you from point A to point B.
It's a vehicle. My boy, Rob Smith, who took us all over the world today and brought us here. Thank you, Rob.
Yo, Rob. We have a studio audience of one today.
One of our collaborators as well.
Amazing guy, amazing music, and I just appreciate his friendship so much. But we were just talking about that it's so appropriate that it's Taxi, and I really didn't know that that's why he called that, but it's a vehicle.
Yeah.
It's a vehicle. So, I mean, people, not that it's all that much, but I've heard people talk about, well, how much has Taxi made you? Well, Taxi's not first of all, they don't cut my checks.
Right.
And they're a vehicle. They got me where I needed to be, and I listened to the boss. He told me what to do. I followed the steps, and it's not rocket science. You say it all the time. If you would just listen to me. You know, if you would just listen to what I'm saying, and you're giving out all the info, you're not holding anything back. You're not like, oh, you got to cut your teeth a bit first. You'll figure it out.
Well, some
you
people
know.
do.
Well,
we were
but
talking
you don't
about
hold
that.
back from those people.
Right.
Some teachers will hold back until someone is at a certain level, and how are you going to get to that level?
I wish more people that, we were talking about this before we went on the air today, that there are people who come to the road rally, they hear about that the networking is off the hook, and they come there with, I'm just going to hang out at the bar and buy beers for everybody I can that looks like they're in the industry and meet collaborators, and it's great, but they don't realize that doing that when you're at C plus or B minus level, it does, it hurts you, because your connection stops right there with less than wonderful music.
Right.
Spend a couple of years getting to the point where your music is A minus, A, or A plus, and then that networking pays off.
One of the gifts about Taxi is something I learned a long time ago. Again, my dad taught me. You get one chance at a first impression.
Yeah.
And the thing that Taxi does is it gives you a process before you get to that point of being able to present yourself and make your impression for the first time, or through the forums, through the different people you can talk to. You can put stuff up, you get feedback, you submit, you get critiques back. You say, oh, okay, my hooks are just not strong enough. My verses don't hold together. Nobody can tell when I'm in my hook. I need to strengthen that. So this way, when you do get your shot and you get in front of the big boys and they listen to your music, it's right. It's ready.
The bar's been set.
Because you're competing with the best. And people, I guess maybe it's the immediate gratification mentality of today. Everybody wants to do that shortcut. They want to bypass.
I can't blame them. I understand that,
But they'll smell you out.
Yeah.
Bringing back the Super Bowl and like a sports metaphor with it. I played high school football. I played college football. I was so good. I'm going to walk out onto the field at the Super Bowl, and they're just going to love what I do. And if they don't, I'm going to complain about them.
Yeah, I've said that 1,000 times, using the football analogy, using golf. Just because you're a really good weekend warrior on a golf course, you can't just show up for the PGA Tour.
Right.
But those guys were in college, they were in high school, and what did they do to get to the NFL? They followed the process.
Right.
And there is no shortcut with Taxi where, okay, I see what those guys did, us, for instance, or, rock stars like Vanderbilt or Chuck Henry. It's like, all right, I get it. Right. I'll just do what they did. But they followed a process that you laid out. He
was an abject failure, right, Matt? When he first joined Taxi, he wanted to be
country.
Country dude.
Yeah.
And
put you in the label as an artist.
And it's funny because he's not a delusional guy.
No.
Vanderbilt's got his head screwed on super straight, and he's a thoughtful, well-reasoned guy. But he thought, I'm going to do country music, without realizing, I think, that the bar for country songwriting is about as high as it can get. And but he did realize pretty quickly that country wasn't going to be his path, and he decided to go instrumental.
He adapted and shifted and was open, and that's...
And here we are, five or whatever.
Sixth year, he's just about...
Sixth year.
And the guy walked away from his job as a college professor, and I have absolutely zero doubt that, by the end of 2018, if not sooner, he'll be over the 100K a year mark. And how many musicians wouldn't want to be a six-figure musician doing something they love?
Absolutely.
Well, you give us the formula,
That's
see,
it.
and the problem is that people then try to shortcut the
Road rally burnout. Yeah,
road rally. My teeth bit better this morning. It's that kind of thing where here's the formula. Just because may seem from the outside we signed all these songs, it's not because we figured out a way
to get around
the formula and how to maneuver around this. It's because we worked it, we wrung it out.
Adapted, shifted, listen to the comments.
Because we trust that you know better than we do in this particular, and that this is what you do. This is not what we do.
So you set up a building of people that could help us get there.
We brought
I'm
what
always
we
learning
do to your formula. and kept fine-tuning it. That's what the first year was
And
for.
we made an agreement all
Right.
in. And
The
all
first
in
year.
was not
all in. That's
submit
right.
every piece of music to every listing, which we did.
We went through that.
You know, we went through that, absolutely. And
Right,
not
we
that-
call
not
that we call that new memberitis.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
it happens.
well-
And you know what, Michael? We had some success with it, so it wasn't like we were flopping, but it was
But
still
don't
completely
do
the
what
wrong
they
way
did.
to do it. Absolutely the wrong way to do it.
Wow.
And just it didn't pan out the way it could have, and it shouldn't have. But it got us. It helped the understanding, and the all-in was listings, taxi TV, taxi forums, taxi road rally, and we will do all of those things with our 100% of our everything. And then if it doesn't work out, we can say, okay, we gave it our absolute all, and it just didn't pan out. But
It's like going to
Yeah.
a course on tax lien investing or something, you know. And some
Exactly.
people go.
I-
I know people that have done like first trust deed stuff. I've got a friend that at the age of probably 32 years old is worth $3 million because he's been investing in tax. What do you call them? Not tax liens. First trust deeds. And you know, he had a successful small business, and then took that money, invested it. Well, other people are flops at doing that. Why? Because he was persistent and just kept sticking with it and learning and talking to everybody he could, read every book about it, and within 18 months he was starting to make money at it. And here we are a few years later, and the guy literally has like $3.5 million in the bank. And works far fewer hours than I do, and you know who you are. He was actually at the road rally.
that's cool.
So let me go to some of my notes.
Yeah.
So this was your second road rally.
Yes.
Correct.
So what did you, when you walked into the first road rally, you were probably like most
Wide-eyed.
people, just
Yeah.
going, holy crap. Like somebody said the other day, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose, which it probably is.
Yeah.
How did this year's experience differ now that you had a year to go, okay, I've got the lay of the land under my belt? What did you do differently this year? Or what did you...
A lot of the
Learn
nerves
from
were out the
different-
window.
You were nervous
a
last
lo-
year?
Yeah.
Well,
Really?
You know, well, just coming into the new
didn't
thing.
know
I've
anyone.
never been to LA. You know, we knew a bunch
We
of
didn't
people
know
from the
anyone.
forums, but I had no idea what it was going to feel like, what the process was like, what the panels were like, what the listening sessions were like. So just not knowing what to expect. Not necessarily nervous that it was going to be a flop. Just nervous that it was like, man, look at this, and the bar, and it's overwhelming. But this year was
He means the bar.
yeah. Oh, that
Where
bar.
the
Yeah.
real-
Yeah.
We're not talking about this bar, we're talking about that
just
bar.
overwhelming. And but then going through it, it's a they said it about you. You put together that building. There's something that happens in there that just doesn't happen anywhere else, and you can't explain it. And this year our goal was more about cementing relationships. The people, the publishers, and the libraries that have been really, really looking out for us. Get a meeting with them face to
Meeting our
face. Show the
collaborators.
appreciation
Yeah.
for the people that we're working
Yeah.
with.
You guys did
A lot
an
of
A+
thank yous.
job last year of cementing relationships with your collaborators.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't know you very well then, but looking at the photographs after the rally, I get probably 2,000 or 3,000 photos.
We're like Waldo. We're in
Yeah,
every picture.
every picture.
Here
And,
we
I'm
are.
going, and you're with the right people
Yeah, that's cool.
in every
Well,
picture.
you know what, Michael? I will say something that we did that I would advise anyone who goes to a rally, whether it's your first one or whether it's your 20th. We really did our homework because you here at the taxi office put together a wonderfully vast program, and you get that out to us before the rally. So what
Which is
we
a
did-
miracle.
Right.
Just
I
so
don't
you
know
know.
how you guys
Research,
did it.
man.
I don't know how you
You
had
can't
time
be
to do
everywhere
it.
at once. Impossible.
But what we did was we really worked that thing, and
Mhm.
we looked up the. It's not like you can't get to there and go, well, which class should I go?
You know
to?
what I choose?
Where do you
What
think
should
I
I choose
should go?
now?
So what we did was then we went on LinkedIn and looked up people so that we
Pictures.
could see what they looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that if we were schmoozing around in the hotel, we would say, oh, that's so and so.
Yeah,
And
right.
he's going into the
That's
men's room.
someone
Let's
who
stand at the urinal.
Stand right next to him and put our hand on his back.
I thought that was a little weird, Sherry, that you were standing at the urinal.
Yeah,
I mean,
in the
I know we're all about
Giving
the-
you a back massage.
what do they call it on the the international signs on the door now? It's got the lady in the
Rally
skirt, the
giving
guy in the pants, and then next to it is the mixed gender thing. But really, I was surprised to see you.
Well, tenacity.
Right, very progressive of you. Anyway, I was joking.
But
about that.
It was actually me. I was thinking it was
We
actually me.
really worked it so that even though we didn't know anyone, we knew who we were looking for.
Right.
We came with a plan,
Right.
and we came with a program of our own when we went to the mentor lunches. He went this way, I went that way, so that we would get all different mentors and be able to take different notes and submit our material to different people, as you get to do at the mentor lunches with whomever you're sitting. So, and we did it again this year. So I've noticed a lot of people walking around with their
Right.
And where are you going?
That
Who's
schedule goes out early,
one?
so you can figure out where you need to be, because there are places that aren't for you. You don't need to be in that class.
And that's
or
part
that
of all-in.
As much as I think that people should ask other people, where are you going? What do you think might be good for me? A lot of times they'll just tag along.
Right. They'll
with
follow
somebody.
you to your class, and that's
But it might not be right for them.
Exactly.
So you really do have to build up your own agenda before you walk in the door, which I think was incredibly smart of the two of you to do.
You cover so many things.
Too much, actually. I mean, it really is.
What we need.
But you can't. The road rally isn't a one-shot deal where you come 1 year. I mean, yes, you can get tremendous stuff in 1 year, but it does require a second and third year so that you can cover a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Were there any high points in particular for you guys at this year's rally? Any classes or panels or anything that you saw that where the teachers were stupendous from?
I had a great time in Rob Chiarelli and Ron's production class, where they brought in two special guests. I was able to take a lot from that.
Who were the special guests this year?
His name was Emil Gantos, and Dave Pagani, I think his name was. Greg Pagani, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And just really seasoned producers, and just people asking them questions. And even though I'm like a almost 20-year engineer, it's just one of those things where to get any kind of little tidbit of information like that to make you that much better, it was just priceless. And to get to talk to those guys at the end, and how approachable everybody is.
So I'm laughing because you said you're a 20-year engineer.
Almost.
Do you know this morning I was leaving the hotel and somebody walked up to me and said, "Oh, I see you've got Marcus and Cherry on the show tonight." And he said, "Yeah." They said, "How old is that dude?" And I said, I'm guessing early 30s maybe. And they were like, "He looks like he's 12, 13, maybe 19.
That's why I don't shave. Because then you'd never.
And I said, "No, I think he's been engineering for longer than you think he's been alive, so I'm pretty sure he's older than that." So,
totally.
Chiarelli, it's funny. We're talking about Rob Chiarelli, who's a dear friend of mine. He and his family live, I think, 4 or 5 houses away from us, and we spend holidays together. I've known him 33 years or something. I actually engineered and produced with Chiarelli, sorry, Road Rally Burnout, when he was probably, 19, 20, 21 years old. And he was such a pain in the ass. Oh, he's like, why did you, what?
No, I said I didn't even look up in a while.
Oh, I thought it went blank. It scares me. Every little move, if I moved a fader 1/8 of an inch, why'd you do that? If I moved an equalizer 1 click, why'd you do that? And then 3 years later, he moved out here. Now look at him, 100 gold and platinum records under his belt.
Yeah.
Just an amazing career. But the neat thing about him is he loves teaching.
Yeah,
it's like his favorite day of the year when he's at the road rally teaching that class. I mean, the guy's working with amazing people right now. I think he's a little mad that I mentioned who he's currently
I saw that.
Yeah. It made it into the bio. I know he signed an NDA that he's not supposed to talk about anything.
Well, he didn't. You did.
Right. Yeah, I know, but all I did was mention the name of who he's working with. I knew that he's not allowed to talk about
the
project. He won't even
Right.
tell me, in confidence what he's doing.
That's a dream right there.
We'll be out to dinner and he'll go, "Oh crap!" He'll get a text that there's like he needs to fix a mix, and he'll have to leave dinner and go to the studio and work on it right.
That's the perfect example of the ladder, though. That's like there's so many people at different stages that you can emulate, or that you can that ladder, like where you've got guys above us like Vanderbo, and then above that like Chuck Henry, and then it just goes up to guys like Chiarelli, Matt, those guys that any level that you can. Because I know Matt was a big inspiration to me, and I know he always said that Chuck is a big inspiration to him. And you asked what's something that we had coming in to do this year. I wanted to pay it forward the way guys like Matt did it for me.
Right.
Because he's taken me to introducing me to people, and the VIP parties and things like that. And this year was about that for me. Mark Himley, a good friend of mine, excellent producer. It was my goal to get to do for him what Matt was doing for me last year.
I think Himley was the last person I saw when I was leaving.
And before we even parted ways last night at the bar, he goes, "I'm already paying it forward. I'm so appreciative of what you're doing that I've already found someone who's not on the forums, convinced them to get on the forums because I got deals on the forums, And it's just you have to.
The forum is a funny subject because everybody's so geared toward Facebook. What?
He said thank you. I was shouting him out. Mark's on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Himley. People don't spend much time on forums anymore.
Yeah.
And it's sad because anything that goes up on Facebook is very ephemeral. It's here now and then kind of gone. And even if you go back and try and find something, it's just impossible. Whereas the forum is like this living, breathing document that just keeps getting better. It's like compound interest. You put $100 in the bank and it keeps compounding over time. Well, the forum is that way. A subject comes up, people add to it and elaborate. And then it'll lay fallow sometimes for a year or 2 or 3. Yeah, and then somebody else learns something new, and then they add to it. And it is
you've got the new members and the experienced members all giving their stories, and that helps.
It's such a resource,
and so available at whatever level. You're talking about Rob Shirelli, who people were just like, "Can I get an autograph?" To someone at that level will sit with you for an hour. We'll sit people in some of the classes, the driver's ed courses that were going on, that will stay after and say, listen, I don't know if you guys don't have anywhere to go. I'll stay with you and play some more songs, and we'll go over it and critique them.
Rob was telling us Michael Lloyd did that you had to call him on the phone and say, where are you at?
Yeah, Michael
Get over here.
I'm
sorry, I'm listening to members' music and I can't stop.
Michael Lloyd has, again, 100 gold and platinum records. And he called me this morning just to tell me how much he enjoyed being at the rally. Obviously, I'm thrilled that he was there. And he did. He stayed for probably 2 more hours after his class was over just to keep listening to people's stuff.
How do you do that? How do you? Is it just because these are your friends and these are guys that you know personally? But how do you end up with these people that all seem to have that energy? There's it's not like you can go, well, some of the panels were good, but that guy was a real jerk, and I don't know why Michael has him there. It just doesn't seem to be.
Many of them are my friends. Generally speaking, the guys that are there year after year after year are people that I'm friends with, and I pick my friends very carefully. And they're built that way.
You got friend screeners. That's what you got. You got friend
screeners. But that's why they're my friends, because they're giving people. It's not like I taught them how to be givers. They're just born that way.
That's great.
Well, it was wonderful to meet a lot of them.
That's
I
for
will
sure.
say we appreciate
everything. Every class that was scheduled, it was just so perfect. I met the guy, Jay Walker, rhymecology. Shout out to Jay Walker.
I've never met the dude.
What a genius in rhymes.
Everybody says he's great. He's Jilly Moon's husband.
Yes, and we made really good friends with those two, and I'll be doing music with him probably for the rest of my life now, because what a just great guy, what a hip hop genius, and out to help and share what he's learned. He's worked with some really incredible people and just eager to share. And the funny thing that was cool about that is it wasn't rappers or hip hop people going to his class.
Interesting.
It was songwriters, because traditionally, first of all, there's not many of us there. Owen Chaim, shout out Owen, and myself and a few others that are really consider themselves, hip hop heads. But the people that were going to his class were songwriters that want to rhyme better.
Yeah.
He wasn't saying this is how to rap. This is how to rhyme better. This is how to make choices. He said something within the first few. He was mentor lunch. That's how I met him first. I sat next to him at mentor lunch, and I saw him on the schedule, and I really just wanted to beeline to him, because just.
And there's a guy that comes back every year. I don't know him, but the first time Jilly Moon called me up and said, "You know me, and hopefully you know that I wouldn't gamble my relationship with you by recommending my husband." I said, "It is your husband. I know that you're gonna, be a little biased." Yeah, and so
great.
I said, "Okay, let's have him come." And I got such strong feedback that first year that even I don't think, maybe I've met him in an elevator, like, "Thanks, oh, you're the guy. Nice, I'm out." But
really cool. But that's the thing, is that even that, you just got people coming that want to learn. You didn't have
we don't let people come back and teach. We call the herd every year. We eliminate people that try to sell products. What I tell them is, at the end of your thing, if you want to say, "Look, I wrote a book. Here's a copy of it," or "I teach a course. Here's some business cards." That's okay. But there's somebody who used to be at the rally that was senior vice president of a major publishing company for 20 years, and that person would just spend the entire class plugging their course. And I had to make the hard phone call. And basically kiss that relationship.
That's the tease I'm talking about, where you can get this, but pay for the course. This is the teaser.
Totally. I don't like that. I get, but there's etiquette. Okay, so the 800-pound elephant in the room is that you guys are mother and son, and that's unusual, you know? I mean, look,
I thought I was his sister.
I loved my mom, but I can't imagine working with her all the time, and I think it's great that you guys do, and you're a generation apart, yet you're very much in sync on a musical level. So what are the inner workings of your relationship? Sherry, how is it? Well, first of all, I know that you had a career of your own probably before Marcus was born, and then after you did a lot of advertising stuff, right?
Yeah, I was an artist. I started, when I was like 17 in New York City, playing guitar in little clubs, Cafe Wah, places like that. And, then got in a band, and then started traveling and did the usual artist thing. And then I got married, and when I was pregnant with Marcus, it was, I don't think I can go on the road anymore. They weren't exactly hiring pregnant women to be on stage.
Wasn't the thing then.
No,
little did you know.
Who knew? Demi Moore was going to be on the cover of But while I was doing, I ended up doing a jingle company because it seemed logical to me. I was inspired to do that. It wasn't so much an intellectual decision as an inspiration that this is a way I can still be a songwriter and discipline myself to live in 60-second, 30-second compartments and still write songs.
Did you have any formal training in jinglese versus song?
No, I never had any musical training in anything.
So literally what she said. I write songs, lessons. I can write them shorter.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just sort of a shift in thinking.
And instead of talking about...
you still had to learn things like, bringing in a 29.5 ring out and all.
Well, I learned that as I learned that way.
Like when you delivered something that was 30 seconds long but had a 3-second ring out.
And then heard it on the radio.
Right.
And
Right.
Shocked.
Exactly.
Oh, well,
1-800-456-12...
Yeah.
Oh.
So how did it progress from there?
Yeah, so he kind of grew up in the recording studio, bouncing around his little walker, while I was recording jingles. And he was playing with the studio dog. Shout out to Dudley. Walker. Rest in peace, Dudley.
Who?
The studio dog. Dudley, who he would play with in his walker. And so he'd hear these jingles over and over again being recorded. And then 2 weeks later, we'd be in the car going to the supermarket. He'd be in his car seat, and he'd come on the radio, and he'd be, oh, Mama. So he it's in him, and his brother as well. Ethan, I hope you're watching. Love you.
She's not the typical mother. It's not the typical mother-son relationship. She's very close and friends, and she's a rebel and a hippie and just,
you mentioned Ethan, and I've seen pictures of the three of you. I've never met Ethan, and you said that he's kind of like out of the band for the moment, as it were, but coming back soon.
Yeah, he's more of an artist. Yeah, so he's been playing on cruise ships.
Yeah, he's been all over the place, a million countries, and working his thing. Yeah, he's much more artist mentality. I try to wrangle him in to do cues, and he wants every progression he plays to be something he's never played before and not sound like anything else. So I can't stifle his creativity. But he does play guitar for us a lot, and he's just a genius. He's a prodigy guitar player.
How did you go from being the queen of jingles, and was it Philly or Jersey or New York?
It was the tri-state area.
Okay.
I was based out of Atlantic City, did a lot of casino work and cars, dealers and restaurants.
What time period are we talking? 70s or 80s?
This is the 80s through the mid 90s. He was born in 83.
Wow, so. I've got zits that are older than you are.
Wow. There's one right now.
But we decided he kind of
You're such a little boy.
We went
in a walker.
We went through the sort of breakup, not really breakup, but where he was doing his thing, and the last thing on his mind would ever be to work with his mother.
I went into college to try to learn.
Let finish the thought.
I was going to continue. I'm sorry.
It's okay. But he, everybody goes through that period where you think your parents are very corny, and it's very nice everything you did, Mom, but I'm doing my thing.
Yeah, as soon as they hit 13 years old, they become the dumbest person they ever knew.
I was still kind of present for all that when he was doing, slam poetry and always encouraging him to write, begging him to sing, and we were always
she let me leave school is what I was going to say. This woman, I had a full scholarship to college, and I went for 2 days. No, I was there almost a year. I was doing really well, but I was so stifled and so frustrated, and I really wanted to build my studio. I went to college to learn how to do it better, and I was coming home and doing it. So I brought it to her. I said, look, I can't do this. I have to just start my business. and she actually got me on a sick leave so that I could keep my scholarship as long as possible. But she knew that she let him follow his dream. This is where it's going to take him.
So how did you guys come back together artistically? What was the pivotal moment?
Yeah, I was running my studio. It was just about 15 years I was running my studio, and I was completely focused in that, building up artists and really getting better. And what had happened is she had started to stray away from the music business.
Through the marketing
stuff. It started, doors were opening
you were a
for
political
her.
consultant as well, right?
Yeah, that's what happened from getting very into the marketing, because the Jingle Company became a full-fledged advertising agency, kind of. And I started doing a lot of voiceover work for other businesses. Then they were hiring me to write slogan lines and come up with campaigns, ideas for campaigns. And I got very into that end of it and more out of the music. If I had time, I'd sit and try to write a song, but it pulled me out of the daily music stuff. And it was kind of fun because I got to see I was good at other things too, but something was missing, and he kept encouraging me. I mean, I really got into it big. I got into political campaigns and, a lot of different things at pretty high levels. That's not important to talk about, but
contextually it is, because you had another life.
Yes, I did. I had an entirely other life.
She ran for judge. She ran for magisterial judge.
I ran for office. I lost by 8 votes.
Wow.
I'm so glad
Thank
I did,
God.
because I wouldn't be here now.
Yeah, right.
And I so just went through different explorations. I mean, I feel like I'm still growing up and still figuring myself out. And this is why music is so good, because the part of you that's creative is a very young place. It's your wonder child. And people who feel like they have to grow up past that, it jams you up. You have to keep that part of that lane on your highway always has to stay open, because it's a very trusting, open, childlike place where you allow inspiration to come in and guide you.
But it sounds like you've always accepted the adult responsibilities that go with the career. And that's an issue I have with creative people, not just musicians, but creatives in general. They think that it gives you license to not grow up. So I understand staying young and nurturing your muse, but at the same time,
there's a part of you that has to grow up.
Yeah, when somebody needs a piece of music by noon tomorrow, you got to deliver on that, because
you
they're not routing their map around your schedule.
If you can't do that stuff, then don't get in that game. If you just want to write, and then when you're finished and you're satisfied with your finished product, submit it, then do that. But if you jump into this part of the game, you will get calls that will be, we need something by tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
And instead of you going, don't put
taxi
yourself
listings,
in
whatever
there.
that quick.
Don't put yourself in there. It's like, be honest with yourself and follow the logical path for yourself. If the business end is jamming you up with the creative stuff, get a friend. You have so many people can do that organizational stuff so easily. Like people say, I don't like to do marketing. Oh, the whole marketing thing. I hate social media. Well, find someone else then, because if you don't have that part of it in your backpack, don't stick your thumb out.
People don't want to line up and do it for free for you. Is the problem? You're the person who's driven to go for that career, and nobody will do it better than you. But you're right. Excuse me, I mentioned that on stage the other day. Musicians hate to sell. Creative people, not just musicians, but creative people generally hate to sell, even though I find selling and marketing especially a very creative process. I love it. But they think that, if you're selling something that you're bad, you're evil. And no, it's like, if you're good at what you do, you're turning people on to something special.
This side has to be treated like a business. It really does. And, Brooke Ferry was talking about that on her panel. And then I was meeting with her, and she said, I really appreciate how you treat this like a business. You really treat this like a business. And it helped me to take my artist hat off of that, because some of the artists are like both worlds. Like, I'd like to be an artist, but I want to license music too.
How do you guys divvy the workload then between the two of you? Because, again, you're family, and I mean, if I worked with my mom, I don't think we would have made it through an entire week together without some...
When we really work well together, we were talking to Rob about this, the process usually goes like this. We get a request from whoever it is, and as I'm building the track, she's writing lyrics, and I start finishing maybe a blueprint to the track. I turn my chair around, and she starts like essentially rapping me the lyrics without melody. So she'll be giving me some rhythm, and as she's doing that, I'm humming or singing along with what she's singing, and the melody starts to take shape. I consider those to be our best divvied up collaborations. There's also times where she's just got lyrics she comes in with, or I had a track that morning, and we do it like that. But that's really how it goes. But we really bounce ideas off each other. We keep check of each other, and that hook is really just, you just let that go. But just to answer your question really quick, how we got from politics, she was getting too deep into that and was saying things like, I don't need music or writing songs because I bring my love for my passion to whatever I'm doing. And I said, well, that's fine, but this is what you do best. So why don't you just bring that passion to what you do best instead of trying to I love music, but I also just love being a light in the world. So I begged for the first time, really, because she can attest to that. I never asked for help with my business. She always helped me with everything, life and money and all that stuff. But I never asked for help with my business. So
that's what I was going for, was the business side of things. Is one of you more businessy than the other, or do you guys divvy everything up kind of on a 50-50? Some days you're the business guy, some days she's the business lady.
Well, he handles
I handle a lot of the libraries and stuff like that. But she is just
I'm the schmoozer.
Yeah,
I'm the like, I do the proposals, I do a lot of the initiating of contact. I've been part of the jingle company. I didn't have salespeople. I had to sell every jingle I ever sold, and make that, and talk people into giving me money they didn't think they could afford to spend. So I don't go out with something I'm not confident about, and I'm very confident about what we do.
Yeah.
And he just slowly coerced me back in.
Yeah, back in.
We started getting together every Wednesday just to write songs.
How long have you been back together?
2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
Taxi
brought us back together.
Taxi seemed like the right thing to bring both of our gifts in a place where they could mix well.
Because there was a focal point. You had
absolutely.
Right, there was like a funnel looking at something.
Yeah, we were talking to Rob today about, we started off by just setting aside Wednesdays. We'll get together every Wednesday and let's do what we do best. What we'll write songs. And then when we got to Taxi, very shortly after that, we went from, all right, so what do you want to do today? What should we do, to what should we do first? We have this post, but this guy's looking for this kind of song. This library's looking for this. Is an artist post.
Focused.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Really kept us focused.
So we were able to, it became more of a discipline than just an exercise. Let's just get together and write and see what happens.
Every day is finals day, and you've got to cram for there's something to be said for deadlines and targets.
I'm saying that to everyone at the rally. The deadlines help so much. Because it's a little bit of a rush. It keeps you focused, or else you go back to high school and you're like, I got a project due Monday. I'll do it Sunday at 8:00.
Right.
That's what happens. If you got a deadline tomorrow morning, then let's go.
And we're in the studio. We forget. It's just like there's no roles. Right. I mean, they come in at other places. They'll go, oh, Marcus, and he'll go, Mom. But it doesn't happen in the studio. In the studio, he'll say to me, you compromise that whole last line.
I was going to suggest
you can do better than that.
There should be,
or I'll say you threw away that hook.
A show about you guys, but a TV show about you guys. But as we learned at the rally the other day, Mason Cooper's working on the show with. Who was the guy that played George Costanza?
Oh, Jason Alexander with the Family Band.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the more modern, more slightly perverted version of the Partridge Family.
That looks funny, didn't it? Yeah, that's funny.
I won't say it. There was I saw a member of the Partridge Family all grown up driving a Porsche convertible about a month after I moved to LA. I won't say if it's a woman or a man, but that person was picking its nose with the top down on the Porsche convertible. I could see it in the rear view mirror of my car. Never mind.
That's funny.
This is why you watch Taxi TV, because you learn the important stuff here.
Like, don't pick your nose with the top down.
That's right. I mean, seriously, you got to hide that stuff. All right, let me get caught up with my notes. So before the reunification and you guys started focusing on meeting deadlines and targets and stuff, you were working in the studio, mostly working on other people's stuff. Correct. As an engineer and
producer, engineer, writer for other artists, up and coming artists, getting them to the level they need to be at so that they can get their product where it needs to be.
And had you become dissatisfied with that?
No.
Why
I ran out of hours in the day, and there's only so many hours in the day. And what I saw was, once I fill that up, there's no more growth. I started thinking about other engineers, hiring my brother, and what happened was, people want to work with me. So I really didn't see any growth. And I said this in the interview when you interviewed me. It's one of my favorite things to say about Taxi. I asked the universe, there has to be something else, and Taxi answered the phone that day. Because the listing came in right as I was asking, what am I going to do? I had another son coming.
Gee, I wish I had a sound effect for like a Halo thing. Right, exactly.
We'll take the thing off the window and just
right,
let the
there
light
you go.
shine
Except
back.
now the sun's down.
Yeah, right. But I said there has to be something else. I don't know what else I'm going to do. I can't find any more hours in the day to grow this. And then I knew that I wouldn't be able to ever leave where I lived. Because then, where am I going to, I have 200 plus clients, they're going to all take planes and buses or trains, or what, do I just got to move 5 minutes down the road? So I started asking for freedom, for light, and also, when she started coming back into the picture, I wanted to write songs again, for myself and for us.
But how have you been able to make the transition from having what would obviously be a full-time, an income from doing that?
We jumped.
And congrats to you for doing that, because there are a lot of people that would like to do that for a living and can't pull it off. So good on you for building up that client base and the income stream. But how do you just walk away from it?
I jumped.
I mean,
she says something all the time. If you don't jump, you won't know there's going to be something there to catch.
Did you have money saved up?
No.
Wow.
No.
Because there's a lag time, and if you got
there's a lot of lag time.
Yeah, if you got placements on your first day,
it's still 9 months. Yeah, it was tough, but I didn't stop doing the studio. My goal was to transition into not having so much foot traffic in the house. Start telling clients, you can record this anywhere. You can send me the stems. I'll mix them for you. Nothing will change. You'll still get this sound that you love. And I wanted to start getting some of the foot traffic out. So I didn't just say, all right, I'm not going to do the studio anymore. When there weren't clients, I was writing for Taxi. And then there were days like Wednesday where I wouldn't take clients. It started one day a week. I just won't take clients that day. And we're going to just write for Taxi.
The dentist golf day on Friday, right?
And as the success, and I want to call it the success at that point was just forwards. But those forwards were like, num, 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 num. It was like, okay, yeah, forwards, num, num,
so
num, num, num.
exciting.
Do I have the sound effect for that? Let's see.
Cookies.
Close enough.
Yeah. So we were gobbling it up. So it's like, okay, this is working. We really come from a place where we probably would have known right away if it wasn't going to work, and I just would have went, but we made the commitment for the year. Like,
I'm surprised you did know right away, though, because so many people don't find out. I always say the first year of Taxi is the learning year.
Yeah.
Second year is kind of like the breaking the ice year. The third year is where you say, okay, I made $1,500 this year, and that's the sign. Right there, kind of like when you break the $500,000, $2,000 mark. If you can accomplish that and keep up the same work ethic and maybe even amplify it, nothing's going to stop you at that point because you've figured out the formula.
Taxi's a one-size-fits-all garment, I feel. It's whatever you bring to the table musically, there's going to be a place for you to develop that, learn about it. There's going to be a mentor for you. There are going to be people on the forum that can help you grow whatever it is you're trying to develop. If you're in music and you want to write and you're good, you be good. But be good and get better. And if you're better, get closer to best. It's wherever you are, whatever level, there's someone to help you here. And the thing that's amazing, having come from the artist side, the first part of my life, people don't help you.
No.
It's this.
Right.
Why is he sitting in the middle? I should be. It's you're always, and if someone looks like they're getting closer than you are, you better watch your back.
Knock them down.
So this is the wonderfulness of Taxi. It's
People
not just
don't
one
believe
size
this.
fits all.
They
It's
don't
a
believe it.
bathrobe.
Believe it. You go to that
I
Taxi
love
rally
robes.
and everyone there is more, it's seemingly, maybe not, but they're almost more interested in seeing you do well.
Why is
I don't know.
People always come up to me at the rally and go, look at what you built. And I always say, dude, I built the foundation. I'll cop to that. I built the barn and then flung the doors open. But everything after that point was all of you guys. And I've got to give credit to people like Matt Hurt and John Mazzei and Chuck Henry.
Yeah.
All those early successes with Taxi, they really fostered this generosity thing, and at some point I recognized it and saw it and would stand on the stage and talk about it to maybe pour a little water on the plant and grow it, but you can't make that happen.
No.
You can't. It either does or it doesn't. It's based on the people.
But yes, there were people I've noticed. Not everybody there was that way. There was a very, very small percentage of
But they
people.
stick out like sore thumbs at that rally.
But everybody
they have
else,
like something floating over their heads.
It's so
called a dunce
lit
cap.
up.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Everybody else is so lit up
Yeah.
from a really authentic, genuine love place that the people who are kind of trying to
Weasel.
work it.
Yeah.
You can smell them at 50
Right.
paces,
Yeah.
like Bette Midler used to say.
Yeah.
You can tell, and you're like, ew, I don't think that's the energy I want to be around
Right.
now. When everybody's so.
There's too many people that are
and-
awesome to
and
really spend time
so
with
you
people that
don't,
don't go
nobody
there.
ever has to concern themselves about that, because when you have a room full of light,
Yeah.
you just stay out of dark.
Turn around and
corners.
just talk to the next person in line. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You're not kidding about that registration line either.
I'm not. The first night we get like 800-ish people in the registration line. I got an email today from somebody that was standing next to somebody, or no, I saw a post on forum.
Yes,
Somebody was standing next to somebody.
Robbie.
Um,
I know that story.
Staying next to somebody, and it turned out to be a
No,
library
he
owner.
writes
that-
for ads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
be, and that's
Good
not an
friend.
isolated instance. I mean, it
Yes.
happens. I can't say that I can guarantee that it'll happen, but it does happen,
Yeah,
and more often
absolutely. It's
than
the
not.
best 5-hour line you'll ever
Yes.
stand in your life.
We came extra early on an extra
Yep,
early flight. We got in at 9:30
front
just
of
to
that
hang at the
line.
line
Yeah, oh,
till
yeah.
5.
Oh yeah.
I love the fact that Roland brought so much gear
That
to
was
lay
cool.
out in that
So
room to play with
much.
this
That
year.
was
You were
really
the
cool.
first guy, man. As soon as I said, "Come on," and you were like, right to the
right to the
gear. Yeah.
keyboard. I'm
Yeah.
hitting the pads. Yeah, totally. Yeah, amazing.
Okay, so 300 pieces signed in a year. What percentage are instrumentals? What percentage are songs?
I would say it's probably about a 60-40. It's
In favor of
in
songs
favor
or
of songs. It's starting to lean a little more towards songs, but
65.
the reason is because when I do instrumentals, I'm doing more of them than songs, so that's sort of attributes to the more instrumentals. But we really do focus more on songs, and there's a certain publisher, I'm not sure if I can mention his name or not,
No, don't.
that I have asked personally, like, oh, do you want me to write you some cues? He goes, don't.
Yeah.
You write songs, just, give me the songs, that and the instrumentals is fine. Do what you do best. And not that I don't do, cues, and I do for a bunch of libraries, but the publishers come to us to get those contemporary songs out, and the lucky thing about that is they come equipped with their own instrumental. So it's not like I'm
Yeah. So
but I did the past couple months getting ready for the rally and getting out a bunch of requests. I did let some of the cues fall by the wayside, and I apologized to a couple of the guys that I know, and they they weren't like jerk. They were like, dude, I understand.
Not to your face.
I know. Yeah, right. They may have said it to someone else, but I did. I just want to make sure that they knew, I'm not just gonna I'm not forgetting about you. I had to get a bunch of requests out, and now I'll go home now and. Especially because I have no voice, I'll start cranking out those cues for those guys. 'Cause they
I
really
think
do
a
lot
balance
for
is
me.
a smart way to go
Yeah.
because
If you can do it, yeah.
There aren't nearly as many slots for songs, but when you do land them, they pay way better because they often mostly come with a sync
Sync,
fee
yeah.
that's going to be $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $3,500.
Yep.
Sometimes you get a rare one that's $5,000 or $6,000. Feature film thing could be $5,000 to $10,000, but those are going to happen even for somebody who's really good a few times a year. So it's a nice income, and the back end eventually will kind of double it. But what I love to affectionately call the stupid little instrumental cues are the kind of the bread and butter. They're almost like the box spring under the mattress. The mattress is what makes you feel good.
Yeah, right.
The box spring is what
Very
gives
well
the
said.
mattress the
Very
support.
well said. It's
I like
holding you
that.
up.
Yeah.
It's there when you need it, and like you said, you can place 20 cues still waiting for a song to
Yeah,
get
I mean,
through.
look at Vanderbo and
yeah.
Chuck Henry and
Such
Steve Baird.
examples.
I mean, these guys have thousands of them out there, and non-exclusive, almost to the track. They're non-exclusive, and they make six-figure incomes.
That SOB Matt, man, he put up a post right after mine. I put up my 300 songs. He goes, yeah, I signed 500 cues this year. I'm like, "Grr."
He did?
Yeah, it's 500 cues this year, and he's trying to do more. That guy is a beast, man.
Vanderbilt. Okay, here comes the picture, guys.
Yeah,
There he is.
That guy is a beast, and
His
you know,
adorable daughter, Espen.
and I made a lifelong friend in him, for sure. We really hit it off really well. We get along well. We make each other laugh. And,
Such a good guy.
inspire each other musically. And
We've
I was
made
telling Rob,
lifelong
he's
friends.
one of the only, not only, but one of the only guys I work with that sort of does music close to me. I like working with collaborators that do stuff I can't do, because then we all spread the wealth. Vanderbo does urban and hip hop, still different than what I do, but we just inspire each other so much and make each other better. So that's a lot of fun.
What are your genres? What's your sweet spot?
Urban, R&B, hip hop, pop, Weekend, Bruno Mars.
And
Justin
how about you, Sherry?
Timberlake.
What do you bring as far as
I'm-
any genres that
I
he's
am
not?
Liquid.
Liquid.
I am the content.
Well,
and
yeah,
I work
because she
with
can do
different
singer-songwriter
forms.
stuff. She sends lyrics to other taxi members, and she,
Yeah.
her versatility is that. And I was saying this to her even there. I said that the reason why I love sending her lyrics out to other taxi members to work on is because I box her in that urban box, and she can really get in that. But it's almost unfair to say everything she writes has to be in my style. And I have to translate it into an urban style, so that's why it's so
Well,
great that there's
what's
other taxi
happening,
members like Robbie
yeah.
Hancock and Stephen Giles and
Adriana. I'm writing with Adriana.
because
Which, by the way,
yeah.
I owe her an apology. She called. I told her to call before today's show, and she did. And the first time I picked up went, hello, hello, I got nothing. She's probably on a cell phone in a canyon or something.
We apologize to her too, because we were supposed to
We're
hang
supposed
out
to-
with
we're
her, and
supposed to
just
hang
we
out
wanted to
with
get
her.
here and
Just
make sure we weren't late.
everything.
And then she
Yeah.
called again probably 20 minutes before we went live, and I was scrambling to get the questions on. So I'm sorry.
We saw what happened to Matt when he came, and we were not going to let that happen.
Oh, when
He
he got
made
stuck
him
on
get
the
here,
freeway.
because you
That's
never
right,
know.
I forgot about
You
that.
never
So we
know.
were in the
Luckily,
parking
Rob
lot,
knew
yeah.
knew that, and he said, "No, something could happen. Let's get you guys
yeah.
there now."
Well, what's happening is there's a everybody wants to work with Marcus, because we heard that hip hop might be good to do, so
Which it
everybody's
is.
excited about hip hop.
I mean, I don't know if you were in the room on that panel
But-
when I asked the
Yeah.
people on the
Yeah,
panel.
it's still,
Yeah.
it still
Right.
is.
It's funny.
So,
But I find it odd. I got to be honest with you that a white Jewish woman from a generation that didn't grow up with hip hop is writing
Well,
hip hop lyrics.
Let me
because
tell, not just necessarily lyrics, but dude, we got a request. It was actually a taxi listing, and it panned out really well. And it was
Yeah.
a West Coast,
West Coast
Dr. Dre, Tupac style
Rap.
cues. And I actually got out of the way for that because I'm East Coast guy, and I really don't
yeah.
do West Coast music all that often. Not that I haven't
Yeah.
heard it, but I don't sit down and make Dr. Dre beats. I got out of the way and let her hit the keyboard. I produced it and everything, but I let her, and she
did it.
was pounding on her chest as she was playing these Dr. Dre chords, and she's playing the Moog synth, and I'm like, this is incredible.
is your artist named Matzo Ball Mama?
No, I did a lot of production work with the general
She just knows what
company,
she's doing, man.
and I love music.
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
knows what she's doing.
I'm not like
She has
all
hip hop
genres,
cues signed.
I write
Signed hip hop cues to
Unbelievable.
libraries you work with.
Okay, so
she's-
that's,
she's
I mean,
decent.
Yeah.
She knows
it
what
I
she's
just
like
goes
the
doing.
to
sound
show
of vintage
that
stuff, too.
anything that you want to learn, you can learn if
Yeah.
you want it badly enough.
That's what I mean. You have to
Yeah.
keep that part open.
And open, because that's not, you're right, it's not how she started, but you know what, when Tupac was doing his thing, I'm in the car with her as a kid. I wasn't very old, I'm maybe
In your car,
12,
going,
11,
Tupac.
12, 11, and she's listening to stuff like that because she's lyrical.
Yeah.
So I'd pick him up from school. He and his friends would get in the car, I'd drive everybody
Tupac
home, and they'd
song.
go, "Oh, look, that was so cool. Your mom put Tupac on for us for when we got in the
I
car."
bet the
and
other
he's like,
parents
Yeah,
just
no,
really-
yeah, she put it on for
she
us, that
rolled
was
up
it.
with that on. No,
Yeah, and
that's
at
what
that
she-
point you're like this, you're like,
Yeah,
you think
he's
it's
like,
cool, but
"Oh,
no, it's not.
Mom."
Why is it so loud?
Did the other
And
kids
she's
go
got
home
hydraulics on her car, long shots.
on her VW
Oh,
with
On her
Ricky
PT
Ticky?
Cruiser.
Remember
Her
Ricky
PT
Ticky
Miles,
Stickies?
Yes.
That's could you see it now? The VW bus, the Ricky Ticky Stickies going boom, ba, boom, ba.
Yep.
So cool.
Yes.
How long does it take you to do an average instrumental cue?
Instrumental cue.
No.
I actually get upset with myself if it takes me longer than an hour and a half to get past an instrumental cue. It means
Really,
I'm
from
overthinking it.
soup to nuts?
It means
Yeah.
I'm overthinking it. And Chuck Henry was talking about it when you were interviewing him. He said, "Don't overthink it. Don't take an hour auditioning kick drums, because you know what?
Right.
You could just start making another cue and use templates. If you did an instrumental cue that works, save that template in your DAW. Start it over again. Don't make it hard for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't audition sounds all day."
Right.
These guys who are asking
you
for the
just
cues
make yourself
have never
nuts.
asked you to make it more complicated. If
Never.
anything, they always ask
Yeah.
me to dumb it down a bit.
Yeah.
No, not dumb it down, make it more simple.
Right, you know what I
Yeah.
yeah, right. Make a lighter version
Yeah.
because it's not supposed to stand out, and it is a little bit harder for me. I don't try to overcomplicate, but I am used to producing tracks for artists, and they have to stand out.
Yeah.
These don't, so it was a bit of a curve because my first bunch of cues were way too busy. There was melody all through them, and it was supposed to drive like artist beats.
Yeah.
I stopped doing that, and even this
We're
year, I
still
told her,
learning.
I looked right at her and I said, every one of these guys is saying the same thing. Every one of these experts is saying the same thing, even with the songs. don't overcomplicate
I feel like
you
the
don't need
members-
more parts coming in here and swells and this and that. I mean, I know
no editor.
Says I want more.
Not enough people were in the room for this session yesterday, but I had a video editor who's just incredible as an editor and a teacher. Her name was Laurel Ostrander. It might have been the single best presentation in the history of the Road Rally. People told me that they felt that way. And she said, yeah, she's not looking for it. She wouldn't even think in terms of, wow, that's a great composer. She would think in terms of, that solved my problem.
Right.
It fit right in. The
They have a
work rate.
need, and we have to fill that need. It has to be easy.
Yeah.
And
that's your job, is making it easy
exactly.
for them.
And they said that. They said that. They
but-
said, make it easier for us. Make it so we don't have to do anything. And that's what our job is, absolutely.
But then people think, oh, that's so inartistic, unartistic, whatever the proper way to say that is. But
then that's not for you, because you have to be able to do a bunch and get that stuff out of the way.
I've asked our most prolific members, do you feel like you're doing something that's like throwaway or not that artistic? And their answer is no, that it's just a different form of creativity. It's not less creative.
It's what's working now. You have to be willing to set aside what you're feeling to what's working now. What do they want versus what do you feel like would, what because I can just put parts everywhere.
Right.
I can say, ooh,
she's
if
a producer
we put
at heart, and she knows what needs to go
from
places.
90s, lush kind of, David Foster and, Jay Graydon kind of things, I'm used to working with pockets and filling in just the right swell of strings, or
so you got to take off that
a
hat
woodwind
sometimes.
section or something like that, and you have to say, no, that's not working right now. That's going to date it. That's why when he said I come in and I rap melodies to him, it's because what might start off in my mind when it comes, if I play it my way, it's going to sound like a Barry Manilow ballad. If I give it to him without melody, just the
rhythm,
the melodic structure of it.
Mm-hmm.
He makes it into a John Legend song. So it's a matter of working with, I know what I do best. I get out of the way with certain melodies unless I'm really hearing something that I know is contemporary. I'm still training that. Robin Frederick's been tremendously helpful.
And the making contemporary classes, I make sure she's in every one of those.
Take advantage of what's available. If you find that stuff's getting returned and people saying, well, it's really pretty, but it's kind of dated, well,
believe
that.
There's classes on that. There's classes on that.
There are her book. Yes,
oh,
let's
yeah.
get her
I'm
book
gonna
out.
be a show for this book.
We were lucky enough to win
go.
one of those on this very show, and boy, are we lucky
It's
about
my
that.
new encyclopedia.
Oh man.
Robin Frederick wrote this book. It's the only book about writing songs for film and TV that's out there on the market. And she did a session Saturday at the Road Rally from 11 to 12 about universal lyrics. She's so unbelievably insightful, so well prepared.
And I'm still so bad on that, Michael. I really am.
Really?
Because I still I write off inspiration.
Yeah.
I really do. And that's this year. That's why I think get more universal. I know
We
the stuff's
check
getting
each other
signed
on
and
that.
placed,
Yeah.
and I don't usually hear from publishers this needs to be more universal. But I know. I still write off a vision in my head. And if I'm writing off a vision in my head, that's
It's
a
a
scene.
story.
Yeah.
That's a scene.
Right. Which competes
and
with
that's
the scene
not
in
good.
the script.
That's
Yeah.
not good. So learning from Robin and tips like that when you're already writing anyway, to just have those things, are like what Jay Walker was saying. There's certain things that if it hits you in the head while you're about to write it, you go, maybe I shouldn't do that. I just was taught this isn't the right way to do this. Maybe I can get that line out of there and
Just
put
always
something a little
write
more
down.
universal.
Don't write down what happened. Write down how it made you feel.
Yeah, man, that is exactly
And Jillian
right.
Moon was great in her class as well with that, because lyrics are different now. Lyrics are different. Vocals are different. Listen to music. Don't just write what comes to you
There's
naturally.
so much I can do that.
Write what
Right.
comes
I
to you
can do that.
naturally. You know, that, like someone said yesterday, I can't remember who was it. Oh, Jai. It was Jai Joseph said.
Yeah.
Don't start overthinking it when the muse is there with you. When the muse shows up, just write the song, and then when the song is written, go in with your little toolbox.
Right. That you've
And
learned
say,
from
okay,
Robin
what
and Jay. And
I have my tools to fix this and make it exactly how it needs to be to perfectly fit what's going on now for that particular request.
that's when you go, oh, look at that. I did rhyme maybe and baby in the last 3 songs I did. Maybe I can do a little better than that. But going back to the cues, like when you did the cue immersion, when you write music and you can write instrumental music, there's a show for every genre of music.
Yeah.
There's shows that...
Well, within reason.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah. But there's there's nothing where you go, well, there's
There are a
really
lot
no
of shows
excuse.
they
There's
do
no
on
excuse.
YouTube.
So
Right.
you do what you do best.
Yeah.
Or,
Right,
or do
and
like
start-
Matt and Mark Himley, where you started off in one thing and realized, I don't know, like that Mark Himley, man, he started doing future bass. The first future bass track he ever made got signed to a publisher that you know and love. So it's like, hey, I do this really well, but nobody cares. They
Yeah.
want that. I can do that. And learn it and do it well and use the influences of what you learn. Throw guitar in there if you play guitar and make it different than other people are doing, and you'll get it on a show.
But people are afraid to go with the simple, with Occam's razor. You know, the right answer is often the simplest one.
KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm telling you, for those of you who are just starting out with instrumental cues, if you play guitar, just lay down one acoustic guitar doing a 1-4-5 progression, pick any tempo, and then lay down like a dobro thing on top of it, and just do that and do it for 90 seconds and do one mood, then do 90 seconds of another mood, then 90 seconds, and keep the same mic, the same EQ, the same compressor.
Do it the same day.
Yeah,
Knock them
and
out. Play
right.
that riff and then stop, start a new one, play another
Even
one.
if you don't get precious about any of them, throw them all away, because every day you're going to get better and better and better. Pretty soon you're going to have rock solid acoustic guitar tunes or cues. Then you can add bass and drums to it, or you could add a cajon to it and a shaker.
I do get it. I get it because of
You
Ethan.
can
What I
always
explained
put
to you about
more.
Ethan,
Yeah.
because you do have to get that artist brain off for that particular line of work, and it shouldn't be that hard because most people have other jobs. So it's like you always got to take that artist hat off. So take the artist hat off, do some cues. Don't start thinking about how creative you can be. And now, like you said, now I got to switch moods and I got to come up with a progression no one's ever done before.
Right.
No, not
don't.
now. You don't. Not that moment.
Yeah.
And I think that if it could really, I'll hopefully try to make it clear for the people that are artists and still want to pitch as artists to be signed to a label and also do cues or licensing.
Yeah.
Take that one hat off when you're doing it. Take that hat off. Take the artist hat off when you're writing for film and TV, because you won't feel that personal attachment. You won't feel that criticism. You'll be okay letting it go. You'll be like, oh, how do you deal with exclusive libraries? I write another one after that. I don't know.
I know. People
I
get
go to the
too
next
hung up
song.
on that kind of
But
stuff.
if, Michael, you had an album of stuff that you've been working on and someone asked for a song like that, I could see you being like, but, well, then keep that there.
Keep that.
How
Write
about
new ones for
Did
those
you see
guys.
the guy go a little crazy on me on our forum when I used the phrase on one of the shows, I believe, maybe at the Road Rally, I said, paint houses by day
that's so
and
good.
paint portraits by night, because they both require paint, they both require brushes,
so
they both
good.
require strokes, but in a different discipline.
way, yeah.
And this guy was so offended. I think he was like a legit orchestral composer. It's like, no, you're making light of orchestral composition. It's much more complex than that. That's okay. Do it at night.
Yeah.
Do the simple stuff by day and put the food on the table so you can do the artistic
That's
stuff.
right. Isn't it nice that in the meantime, while you're working on stuff like that, you get to do more music? You know?
Speaking of music, got a couple things you can play us?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
So, was that an SSL?
What's that? No.
what
You know
was
what
the
that
console?
was? That was a Lavo. A Lavo console, really cool Lavo that I used to work on at a 3-letter TV station that I used to work on. So I still have that picture. I don't work there anymore, but very fun console to work on. Okay, let's see here. This is a new one.
Speaking of Shirelli, by the way, Shirelli called me about 2 weeks ago. He worked at a studio, I can't remember the name of, but I think it used to be a private studio, and then some guy bought it and made it public. And he sent me pictures. It's a huge live room. They must have like 30 guitars for rent that you can use. A range of amplifiers that blow your mind. Keyboards. I mean, it is literally a sandbox with every microphone and toy you can think of. And he called me up. He said, "Okay, here's the deal. The owner of the place said we could have it on a dead weekend. I want to, go down there with you, because he knows I live to get back in the studio, but I love cutting full bands live. I mean, I'll cut them to multi-track. Actually, I'm brave enough to cut them to 2-track, but I would do it to multi-track. So we're going to do that. We're going to do a little boys' weekend in the
That's
studio where I just get to,
That's exciting.
I love that feeling of watching the band members all look at each other going like, we've got it. We've totally got this. And sitting in the control room, it's like being...
Well, you must miss it, too, because you're a music guy.
I don't miss punching in syllables.
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah.
In
but
those
just,
days,
Yeah.
I
Just
would imagine.
being there and
Cutting
building,
tape.
building it. I mean, I'm
love
from the
cutting.
razor
Yeah.
blade days, you know, with
Yeah.
the white pencil behind you, you know.
Do you know, I actually learned a trick from Tommy Dowd, one of the greatest producers that ever lived, and he taught me you don't need to use a grease pencil. He would go like that, touch his nose, and then just put a little mark on the black backing of the tape from nose grease and then just cut it. First time he taught me how to edit. He said to me one of these...
Excuse me, ew.
Yeah, he taught me how to make, he said, I can show you how to take a good song and make it a great song. It was actually on a project that Eric Clapton was producing, co-producing with Tom Dowd, for two guys named Tom and Don that were beach bums hanging out behind Eric's house in the Bahamas. And everybody went to lunch. And Tommy Dowd said, I'm going to show you how to edit. And there was a drum turn coming out of the bridge going into the last chorus. It was like a 4-count, boom, into the last chorus. And he said, I want you to take that from there and move it up to the front of the song. Let's start the song with that. And I'm like, you know, back and forth. And he said, cut the damn tape on it. And I'm like dripping. I'm like the guy in the movie Airplane, just sweat dripping down on me. I've got one of the, you know, like top 3 producers in the world standing behind me. And I'm just schwitzing. Yeah, seriously. I was so afraid to make a mistake and look like an idiot. Like 10 minutes later, he goes, just cut the damn tape. So he said, you can always put it back together. I went, oh. He goes, yes, the law of reciprocity, reciprocity, whatever comes up there, you know. Anyway, thank you, Tommy.
That's cool.
Okay, what are you gonna play?
All right, I'll play a song. It's called "I Choose Love." A little bit of a Jamiroquai kind of vibe.
Is this something you guys did together, or something you did on your own?
That's funny. This song I actually did. I really wasn't feeling very well, and this just came to me. It was right after the election, and everyone was complaining, and I just choose love. Just be happy. Stop complaining so much.
Can you tell me what is going on? Seems that everybody's gone crazy. Where have all the dreamers gone? Have we all just got lazy? Something's got to give. Don't need much life left to live. Please send a sign from up above. And if I gotta choose, I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. Love's gonna make me hate. I choose love. I choose love. No one's gonna take that away. Something strange is in the air. Seems that everybody's changing. I can't find no faith anywhere.
Yes.
Seems it's been replaced with raging. Something's got to give. Don't need much life left to live. Please send a sign from up above. And if I gotta choose, I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. Love's gonna make me hate. I choose love. I choose love. No one's gonna take that away. No one can take that from me. I see what I choose to see.
It's funny. Somebody got my song got played in the panel because I'm up front. I'm listening like this. So they're like, "You look so intense." I was like, "That's just how I listen." It wasn't my song. I was just listening. If I was doing that to my song, it'd be kind of pompous, right?
People always make fun of me for the head bob on this show.
I just listen, man. I met with Ben McLean who was on here. Boy, that guy listens with his whole body. Ben McLean.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, he listens well.
It's funny, he's an attorney.
I know, but I picked him because he was on the show. He listens with his whole body.
Who's singing? Either of you, or
Just me on this one.
are you doing all the parts?
Yep.
The harmony, sack, and
I
everything.
produced the whole thing. Yep. This was just an
This was one
inspiration. I
night
never
when you didn't
expected
feel
this.
well.
Yeah, I was sick.
I wasn't
doing
gonna
this.
catch it.
It's all right, Rob. You can clap. Studio audience of one. Clap your ass off.
Bye-bye.
Somebody also mentioned, oh, what's the 5-year plan? Somebody mentioned the 5-year plan.
Do it in 3. That's my 5-year plan.
The 5-year,
in 3.
the 5-year plan is join Taxi. We guarantee you'll be a millionaire in 5 years.
That's it.
I'm so kidding.
And they pay.
That's
Michael
not true.
signs the check.
That's right. 5-year plan is just something, a phrase that I think Matt Hurt and Dave Walton, maybe and John Mazzei came up with, Chuck Henry. It's just something that morphed out of all of them. That,
don't quit before that.
Right, you got to be in for 5 years and giving it real effort
give it
for
all,
5
all
years,
in.
and then you'll start to see some momentum. But you can't. Don't expect to join Taxi and in 30
Strike it
days,
rich,
30 days you're going to get a bunch of stuff forwarded, and then in 90 days it's going to land on TV, and then in 120 days you're going to make your first $10,000. It's not going to work out.
It
that
is
way.
laid out, and you mentioned it just a little earlier. It's that first year is figuring
Learning.
it out.
Yeah, it's the learning
The
year.
second year is working really hard. The third year, the money starts rolling in, and then after that, you just kick ass. That's why I want to do it in 3, because we're starting to see some returns this year.
But you've worked way harder than the average person.
Thank you. I like to say we
we-
cheat because we were doing music full time before that anyway. So it's not like we let like Matt where we had to like balance. Being a
Right.
teacher, we were already doing music. Well, I brought her back in, but it wasn't like we had to give up something that was so important to us to do this. We just had to make a little couple tweaks, take the artist hat off, take the big time, I want to have a Grammy producer hat off, and just move to do this right.
This all-in thing. I know that, write, submit, forget.
Yeah, it can't just be
repeat.
5 years of just
All
submitting.
in is so important. Or if you don't want to, it's not like you have to. You can send in something when you have a chance. There are a lot of people who will submit like 5 things a year because that's what they write. We don't expect anyone, to be able to bang it.
Right.
We're very disciplined, like Marcus said. We've both been
And
doing
obsessed.
this. And
Rob
yes,
Chiarelli said it's a healthy obsession.
ridiculously,
It's like you're not crazy, but you're almost crazy.
But it's a
You're
great
almost
point,
crazy.
Sherry, in that,
All
you know
in.
what, if somebody makes 5 submissions a year, it's going to take them 5 times longer
Right.
in all probability than somebody who's making 25 submissions a year. So the output and how prolific you are does affect the timeline. It's not just the passage of time.
No,
It's what
right.
you do
You
with
can't
the
just
time.
let
That's what
5
I
years
mean.
go by
You
submitting
can't
and
just-
reading
yeah.
returns.
Yeah.
No.
You can't just expect this like something
Yeah.
that
Well,
takes
I'll
over,
do what
that
the
in 5
screeners say,
years
and then I'll be fine.
delivers, your dream. But I met a lot of people at the rally that say, well, how do I know, you don't get to resubmit something if they send it back, and, how do I know if it's ready to submit? I said, well, do you ever go on the forums? They go, the forums? And I'm like, how do you not know about the forums? I don't know where we would be without
Absolutely.
the forums.
I'd have no collaborators.
Which is
First of all, I would have never met some of my best friends.
Forums.taxi.com, not forums.
Stay on
forums
there. Don't
with
just
an
stay.
S.
You can put up
hit
a
new
piece
posts
of
every
music.
5 minutes.
You can put up the piece of music before you submit it and ask for peer-to-peer feedback.
Oh, but
And-
somebody might steal my precious composition.
Yeah, right.
Nobody's
Right.
doing
yeah.
Wasn't it funny? I don't know.
That's not how we roll.
Good luck with that one.
I mean, people worry about stuff that.
Yeah,
look,
Ed Sheeran's cruising the forums, looking for songs to steal. It
I-
wouldn't happen because you're not making any money, and
But
they're not going to steal from you.
But these are the dumb misconceptions, and I'm sorry for calling
Well, that's-
anybody
Well, it's just
dumb.
uninformed
Uninformed
because
misconceptions from
yeah.
people who are new in the
Yeah,
industry.
you
It's
don't
like everybody's
understand.
waiting to pounce on my piece of work because it's genius. Chances are, honestly, it's not genius yet. Maybe someday you could be at that level,
Yeah.
but I've been in the business for 43 years, and I mean, why is it that only people like the Beatles get sued for copyright infringement? It's the deep pockets that people
That's
go
right.
after. There are very few cases of copyright infringement that have ever actually held up because it just doesn't happen
Right.
all that often. Certainly not by intent. I think more often by accident.
yeah,
because
you
they're
heard
only-
it and
Yeah,
you're
but-
like it came up with a little bit of a similarity, but that's gonna happen.
It is.
That part's gonna happen. Like someone could easily hear what I just did and make something just like it, but that's what I do too.
What were some of
that's
your
what's
earliest?
called
I
all-ups.
want to hear from each of you on
Yeah.
this. Sherry, what was your first misconception when you joined Taxi, and at some point you went, "Oh, I had that all wrong." Now can you? I know it's like a surprise question. Not that
Oh,
I had
it's
you all
okay.
that
No,
prepped with
well,
questions, but
It was kind of humbling, the first slew of returns, because I've been successful,
Yeah, that was.
and I had to really sit, and I thought, oh, I got something perfect for that.
We may have come in a little cocky.
And-
we may have come in a little
Well,
cocky.
kind of,
yeah.
I'm
A little
used
bit.
to I'm
Maybe
used
a
to
little bit.
being good at what I do, and I don't do it unless I feel like I can bring something
Yeah.
capable to it. So I think for me it was like, okay, I need to kind of really start listening. Just because I have something that's good doesn't mean it's going to work.
Right.
What
This
made
is
you
too
trust
busy.
us enough to make that leap? Because that's a leap, you know. It's like these people are essentially strangers
A
to me.
20-year track record.
Yeah, and you could feel it. You could feel it.
And we knew going in, before we.
And not to
It
BS, but
felt
years
right.
and years and years ago, I had a friend, way before I joined, that was having luck with you and had some reality stuff placed in the early days of reality TV and really urged me, even sponsored to get me on there.
Wow.
I just didn't take it seriously.
Yeah,
I was
wasn't
building
time.
the studio. It wasn't the right time. And that's when you asked me before, I said, one of those I wish I would have joined earlier, like 99. I wish I would have been one of those guys, but that wasn't the time for it. It happened at the right time. To answer your question of what was the
Right,
maybe
what
the
was your
mistake
thing?
I made is that the forwards would be instantaneous. Like if it went through, that was it. Client got it. It was cool. I didn't.
Let's talk about that.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
I get
thought it
asked
was
that was a
question
good one too.
It was
That
an
a really
instant
good
kind of
one.
thing.
I should
Forward,
let-
good. I'll get a call tomorrow and I'll have it on the show. And then I'll do
I'm
more.
so glad you brought that
Yeah.
up because I had a lot of people. You probably noticed that after I finished one panel and we're resetting the stage for the next panel, people inevitably come up to the lip of the stage and go, Michael, do you have a minute? I just have one question. So I got forwarded about 2 weeks ago on something. When will I hear?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything yet.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
somebody
Don't worry.
gonna call
Did they
me or
steal
should I
it?
call somebody?
Yeah,
Did
and
they
they're
steal
sitting.
it?
I totally get it. They're sitting at home and they've got this mental image right there in the front of their brain, and they're going. They can see that person getting their music and going, this is the most genius thing I've ever heard. I'm going to call this person and I'm going to change his or her life and write them a check for $1,000 or
exactly what the sync fee thought. So I thought $1,000 taxi listing with a forward was going to get me $1,000.
Right.
So I was like, this is cakewalk. I got 100-something forwards. I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow. So maybe not that serious, but we did sort of, and not because anyone told us that. It was just a.
Right.
I told her, I was like, a couple placements right away pays for our taxi membership. This is going to be cake. All we need is a couple, a couple $150. Because when I had luck, I placed a couple things years ago. It was $150 for an instrumental cue. And I did like 2 or 3 and ended up on like Oxygen or something. And I was like, okay, I remember that worked. So I'll submit to these, and they say, 200, 300, I'm good. Taxi membership's paid off, and now I don't have to worry about
It's
anything.
funny people try to equivocate, the price of the membership with the income.
Yeah.
And eventually, if you just hang in long enough, it will.
The price of the membership is the rally, and
But it'll manifest
yeah.
itself like 1,000 times over if you give it time. You just can't
yeah.
look for that return in the first year or two.
That was a little bit.
Did
of a
you?
mistake.
Were you guys? I think it was during the Q immersion thing, right? At the end, I read off here. If you do this for 30 years, if you start at 35 years old, and I think you write off the first 2 years as learning year, maybe the second year you make
any
a few
business.
hundred.
She used to say that.
Right.
Any business you're going, and luckily we
first
don't.
year
The
you're
overhead is
struggling.
non-existent, really. It's non-existent. We didn't have to build $1 million studio to start Taxi.
But at the end of 30 years of doing this, and the numbers were put together by a certified financial planner whose name I won't mention because they have all these rules about what they can promise and say.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I'm talking about this for entertainment purposes only. But if you do it right and just stick with the program, that at the end of 30 years of doing it and you're 65 years old, you would have $2.2 million. Most people will never
sounds
retire.
good.
Yeah,
But
most people won't.
Musicians
ever
don't want to hear they have to retire at 65.
Well,
They
whatever.
because that's the deal. If
Yeah.
you started at a major company and you were in the mailroom,
Yeah.
and the day that you started, they said just stay here for 30 years and you'll be a millionaire.
Yeah, you'd
That would
stay
still
there.
be cool.
Yeah.
Even if they said you don't even have to move up, just work in the mailroom for 30 years, you'll be a
And the
millionaire.
best part about this is you get to do what you love
That's
instead of being in the
exactly
mailroom
what we
for
said.
30 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go write some more songs and it'll be super duper fun.
Yeah.
Let's see if we got some questions in there, guys. If you've got any questions, I've got a few left, but I think we've covered a lot of ground.
We've
and
been
we-
ignoring you.
I actually have because you guys.
That's
Well,
per
no,
usual.
that's okay.
They're making their own combos, and I'm not on there to be joking around, so I don't
Right.
know what's gonna happen.
Martin Frog says Michael was so busy, as was all the staff. They worked very hard to make it great for us.
Are
We
you
appreciate it.
using
Thank
Big
you.
Fish Audio's new horn library? I am not, only because Big Fish worries me because of their license agreement. There's a lot of non-commercial. You can use our stuff, but not for commercial purposes. I'm not sure of that horns library, but unless you're talking about vintage horns too, Paul. Are you talking about vintage horns too? Because I did get that. But I don't use their loop stuff. I don't use their loop stuff at all because it scares me. I'm just
Did you
nervous
hear
about it.
Jeffrey Steinberg's Warp 4 horns or woodwinds?
Oh, on your tack, I did. Yeah,
Oh,
on
he
your
was
tack
also at the
and-
rally?
Yeah, I mean, it was
That was intense.
That guy is so deeply committed to perfection in samples that it's just
I do
mind-blowing.
have that,
What
Paulie.
horn
I
is
do
it?
have vintage horns too. Yeah, the dirty horns
What
on that are
is
just
it?
insane. I could make Amy Winehouse stuff with that all day.
You know.
Do you want to play another song, Michael?
Yeah,
there's-
go for
All right,
it.
this one, her lyrics, my track, very, very collaborative song, and Robin Frederick critiqued it and gave us glowing reviews on the lyrics, and it's doing well for
What's
us.
it called?
It's called Where Do I Go?
Okay.
Joe's on there. Hi, honey. Hi, dogs.
Nothing that feels like love ever lasts too long. And you find yourself crying and alone. You find yourself crying and alone. Sometimes you let it in and it leaves you broken. And you can't find your way back home. You're never gonna find your way back home. Then am I holding on? Trying to find the answer in a song. Sitting here knowing you'll be gone for good by morning. When I know it's true, I did the best I could with you. Wasn't like I never knew, wasn't like I never had love for me. Where do I go?
Ethan's on there.
I don't know if there's anything left worth doing. Any thoughts that are left here in my head, some words that I might have left unsaid. There's no sense in reasons I can put the truth in. If we can put it back together like it was, then it'll fall apart just like it does. Why do I keep holding on, trying to find the answer in a song? Sitting here knowing you'll be gone again like always. When I know it's true, there wasn't any more that I could do, even when I knew that we were doing it all wrong ways.
Is that synth doing the low?
Percussion, yeah, it's actually bongos perfected.
Great lift.
Trying to find the answer in a song. Sitting here knowing you'll be gone again like always. When I know it's true, there wasn't any more that I could do, even when I knew that we were doing it all wrong
Check the stack for
Ladder. How funny was it after the guys got up there and essentially eulogized me at the beginning of the rally, and I walked out with this thing.
Yeah.
And like,
You
about
can't go anywhere without this.
About 30% of the people in the audience totally got it. The rest of, like, all the visitors are looking at it like, why is that idiot holding this thing up to his face? frankly, I was so stunned by the whole opening of the.
Yeah,
First
you
of all,
were so
I
surprised.
know.
Well,
And
I
it
was
so great.
I was
It
so
was
shocked,
great.
but also I'm looking at my watch going,
You're
crap.
screwing me up.
Yeah,
You're
this
screwing
totally
me
messes
up.
up the
You can't
rest of
screw me
my.
up as soon as we start.
You're screwing me. The whole rally's off. now.
All I could think of was the whole thing's going to be pushed back 12 minutes. I
Yeah,
was
we
dying.
embarrassed him really well. Those of you who weren't there, we really made him feel all warm and fuzzy and loved and appreciated. And
All I kept thinking in my
And it
head
was
was,
well-deserved.
thank you. I'm running out of time. Don't cry. I'm running out of time.
Oh.
Don't cry. 'Cause it's really hard to
No,
hear
dude,
that stuff.
when
about
watching you get emotional over that orchestral piece was just
Oh.
wonderful because you can
I
see how
lost
much you
it.
still feel,
Oh.
Yeah.
and that was
Yeah.
just absolute. And when you went, you should be scoring for movies. He goes, I don't want to. I want to make cues. It's like, oh, okay, you're that good. Well, fine.
I was the nicest guy in the world, too.
Oh,
He lives like 10 minutes from here.
That was great.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I think someone asked real quick, it went by, about duets. If I'm working with a collaborator that doesn't live near me, absolutely it's remote. No, they don't come in. But if they're anywhere nearby, they come in and record, absolutely. Most of the stuff with collaborators has been remote, especially through Taxi. But if they're in the Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey area, then they'll come to the studio.
I think Paulie said, what did they do for Michael at the beginning of the road rally? Every single person in the audience, there were like 1,000 people at that point, came up and gave me a little background.
Yeah,
Is your award here? We can show
It is. It's right behind you, actually. Here.
Come on, this was a beautiful, beautiful
That was
moment.
such a moment.
And Michael was
And
very
he-
moved. He was very surprised. It's gorgeous.
And it says, it's got thumbprints all over it, Taxi's Member Choice Award, presented to Michael Lasco, 2017, in recognition of changing so many lives around the world.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Absolute. Yeah. And any of us would have said, the same thing about this man for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
It's my job. I mean, I do it
Do
because
it well,
I love
man.
it, but
You do it well.
you know,
We
it's.
do
I
our
feel,
jobs. You do your job, and that's where it's
I
at.
feel honored to. I mean, how many people are lucky enough that they get to put food on the table for their family and make other people's lives better?
That's right.
It's pretty awesome.
Well,
I got to
we've
say.
made our lives a lot better.
Thank you.
Oh,
I can't wait to
change.
talk to
We're
you like
taxi cheerleaders.
a year
yeah.
or two from now. You know, that's when the money's going to start really rolling in.
The
You
money's
guys
a byproduct. The love. We don't need that to authenticate what's happening.
Yeah.
No, but I want you to be able to sustain this as your way of life for the rest of your life, and you got to put food on it. You got a
And
kid.
so
I
do
could
we.
always go back to valet parking if it all doesn't
That's
work out.
right.
Since that was the last job I had before music at 16, I'll figure that back
Oh
out.
my gosh.
I'll go back.
I'm not
I
going
gave
back
myself
to
no choice. I know
politics.
nothing else. I know
I'll go
nothing
back to
else.
being a
So
session
I'd be at
singer.
McDonald's, man.
Yeah.
I would have nothing else to do if I didn't do music.
Okay.
So funny. I mean, but think of all the calories you burnt off.
Thank you guys who said you love the song.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
Thank
you so
That
much.
means a lot.
Really.
You're a very
Thank you for listening.
textural writer. You know, it's like the ladder, the
Mhm,
harmony
mhm.
stack ladder. Just everything that I've heard today and stuff that you've submitted, a lot of textures in there. Not a lot of complexity. You've learned that lesson,
you.
you know.
Thank you.
But
Yes.
Yeah.
it's
For
the textures bring a mood
Thank you.
and create an atmosphere, and you don't have to do it by being busy.
By being over busy.
Yep. I'm good. So I think I've asked every question. We're almost
Wonderful.
at the end
Okay,
anyway.
cool.
But
We
do you
made it
guys
in
have
time.
another question or two? We've got like 3 minutes left before the network goes to commercial.
I'm going to play one more song while you guys are asking.
All
This
right.
is me and my boy Matt Vanderbo. Shout out Matt Vanderbo.
Yo,
And
MVB.
Yeah, my boy for life. And this is one of our newer ones.
Intoxicated, just let me drink you in. No point in waiting, just let it pull you in.
The publisher doesn't send an instrumental. They send us a request.
Flow like the wind as you move closer, I lose where you stop. And
Don't have training. I didn't take classes. No, I just listen to awesome singers and I just keep trying until I'm better.
From side to side. Maybe I'm not sober, but I can't keep track of time.
Master Bus Effects.
That's so loud.
Sorry, I want to talk over the music. Master Bus Effects. I really love The Glue by Cytomics. The Glue, I think that's The Glue. I love Ozone, Isotope, anything by Isotope. Please go out and get Isotope Ozone 8. You
Thank
should do
you,
a thing.
Polly. Yes.
I was going to say that. You should see if you can do a thing with sponsoring
Polly,
with
just
Isotope.
push-
Yeah.
Because if
Now
all
you
your
can hear
members
more of
had
our music.
Isotope,
They'd all
Ozone
come the
8,
same.
they'd have great masters. Because they just came out with a great automatic master button.
Oh.
Ozone 8, if you could work that out for them to be at the rally next year, sponsor something that every member should have Ozone for sure to master. It's so easy now.
Show me the colors, the lines. Let me discover the dreams
There,
that you
that's it, Paulie. Yep.
This works.
Yeah, her lyrics, my hook, my vocals, Matt Vanderbo on the track, and the mixing, Matt Vanderbo. Still available, but not very long. Philly. Thank you, Michael, for having us. I love this man. This man is like an uncle, like an inspiration to me. Uncle Mike, I can't call you my dad. That'd be weird. But Uncle Mike, I love this man. This man changed my life, changed our lives. Follow what he says. Listen word for word, and you'll be all right.
All in.
Yeah, all in. Do it all up. Get to the rally. Get on the forums. Yes, reggaeton, a little bit of reggaeton influence, correct. Pop, reggaeton, Afro pop, very big now. A lot of publishers asking for this stuff. Ollie, the album is called Only Imagine. Just imagine.
The audience loves it. And with that, we're signing off because I'm going to go home,
Thank you,
have
guys.
a nice
We're
dinner,
gonna
and
fly
go to
down to
bed.
Philly.
Are you flying tonight on a red
Yeah.
eye? Ooh.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
We love
Thank
you
you,
guys.
Michael.
Thank you for being
Love you
our
guys
family.
so much.
God bless you all.
Mark Himbley, Matt Vanderbo, Paulie, Jan,
I've got to
Peter,
mention
Jimmy,
Paulie.
Amanda. You guys are awesome. We love
Amanda. I
We
miss
killed
you.
our bottle of Skavis pickle, or however you pronounce it. So we drank yours too.
you. Next time, do that for a celebratory drink before it starts.
How funny was that?
That was really funny,
Ron
Ron.
Harris got
Woo.
blasted.
I don't drink. Well, then why'd you drink it?
This is all your fault, Michael.
Frank, what's up, Frank? Thanks for everything this weekend, Frank. You're awesome. We love you, man.
Yeah, you guys are the best.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back next week, but I have no idea what I'm doing for the show next week. But I will be better rested,
Taxi!
and we will see you.
Taxi!